Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Homecoming Season 1, Episode 4. It's called Redwood. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, actually, one of the things you said last time that I was thinking about was the idea that Homecoming will be the whole point is that it raises the memories of the people who were over there.
Yeah.
And you said it was to tackle PTSD. I was thinking about this. And I think it's a little bit more nefarious than that. I think that's like a knock-on effect of it. Like that's what they can sell it as.
Yeah,
but
I imagine that's what they're selling it as.
I think the actual reason though is more about what missions can they put them on that they don't want anyone to know about, including the soldiers who were there. And
of course.
shady shit.
Yeah, of course. But I think they sell it in to get approval for all the testing and stuff.
Yeah. But I was thinking about it before I started watching this one. But so where to begin? The present day stuff in this one was fairly straightforward. It was we got a montage of the main ingredient, which I assume was the plants that were in the background in the first phone call in episode 1 with Colin. We see them be processed, be formed into their final liquid, and then sent off and shipped to Homecoming. Very stylized little sequence, but enjoyable because you understand what's going on. And the other present day stuff is mainly the idea that Walter's upset that Schreier's been removed and comes to question Heidi about it. And they get to talking again. She calms him down, but it's essentially them bonding a little bit more, her learning a little bit more about his experience over there and how he feels responsible for the death of Titanic Rising guy, because I can't remember his name. But even she said Titanic Rising so and so, like that's how she remembered it.
Yeah.
But they share a couple of more intimate moments because she actually comes to his room and gives him the harmonica, which was Schreier's, because that was one of the things that really bothered him, because he saw them like clean his room out, and why didn't he take that with him? That's small enough that he would just carry with him. Why is that not with him?
Yeah, it's weird.
And she tries to alleviate his fears, but she goes into the storage closet to track it down, and she brings it to him at his room. And again, they talk about his hopes to go back to this road trip. He wanted to go to Yosemite, and he almost got there this one time before he went overseas, but his car broke down at the last minute. But he's talking about all the little towns and how they were kind of in their own little world, and how had he stopped and kind of settled, he might have just stayed there, and that might have just been his life. I think it's just all a metaphor for life in general, and just like the choices you make, and how one choice to take one job or one choice to move somewhere can kind of just lead to where everything else goes. And,
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
And then the idea that you don't get where you set out to. Yeah.
But he was almost put back in autopilot, back into the military, because his car broke down and his mum brought him home. And we even see his mum, actually. They all get Skype calls in this episode. And she's very inquisitive about where he is, why he's there, where his buddies are.
Yeah. And obviously there's not much he can tell her.
There's not. And it's the sort of thing where he's kind of shrugging it off, but it's maybe like the paranoia might be starting to get to him. Why don't I have answers to any of these things?
I think so, because obviously this is the thing. We know we're building to a violent incident of some sort.
Yeah, and he's becoming an attack because obviously the way he said hi to Heidi before, and the Schreier kind of noticed that in this episode he kind of hugs her as she's leaving.
She looks terrified for about half a second.
Yeah, and then she realizes that it's just because it's very awkward. It's very initiated in an awkward way where it's kind of mid sentence, and he just kind of goes for it. And it's fair enough. It's just a hug, but it has this weird tension about it. So did you notice the other dude outside the window? Obviously, you see him walk out the hallway at the end, but in the middle of the scene when she's sitting near the window through the blinds, you can just see him, and you can't quite make out his face, but it looked like that guy. It looked like the guy who works there.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, did you notice him standing there watching?
I did notice it. I couldn't like make out his face. As I said, I noticed someone.
It was so subtle though. It was the sort of thing where in any other show I might have thought, wait, an extra's messing up this take. They've not noticed that the extra's ruining the fact that you're staring at the window.
Do that.
Yeah, but it was that subtle though. That it's like, is this intentional that someone's staring at the window? Because I think most cases with TV shows and movies, they'll make it more obvious who it is for that effect. They'll make it clear that this is whoever. But this felt so just blurry and just random that it could have been whatever. But then he steps out at the end. So obviously he's concerned that they're getting too close and that maybe this is becoming an inappropriate or maybe more accurately unprofessional relationship.
Yeah.
Although we saw it though, there was nothing actually wrong with it.
There wasn't, but I can see how not having any context, just seeing she's in his room.
Yeah.
And then I can see why you might think that.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the present day stuff. The flash forward stuff was mighty interesting, I thought.
Far more interesting.
Because
not that the other stuff was bad, but
yeah, the other stuff was fine. But
this is the meat of the episode, though.
This is definitely the meat, and so we actually get to see headquarters. We get to see the headquarters of the Geist building.
Yes.
Carrasco is here, and he's being bounced around a little bit, and there's a lot of really just subtly surreal things here. Especially, I thought in the set design, the one waiting chair that's right in the middle of this entrance.
Yeah, but behind this pillar.
Yeah, it was just really... It's one of those weird things where they've designed that to be perfectly symmetrical, which makes it feel almost dreamlike and kind of... Almost like it's meant to make him feel weird and uncomfortable.
See, because she gestures for him to sit down, and he looks like, either side, and it's like, well, there's no chairs, and it's directly behind him.
Yeah.
And, he's covering it up entirely, so we can't see it until he does either.
Yeah, and then when he sits down, he's right in the middle of the frame, and everything's perfect. It's one of those things where real life is not actually that neat, right? Real life is kind of messy. It's kind of there's imperfections everywhere. So whenever a movie or whatever makes a set and makes it so it's perfectly symmetrical and clean, it feels a little bit off, like we're in a fake world.
Yeah, and there are times where that's just someone not understanding what they're doing, and it comes across as
wrong. Sure, yeah, but I mean, I'm not accusing this of that.
No, of course, this is a very intentional choice, clearly.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's not so much that I think they're saying that this world's fake, or even that this business is like fake. I think for me, I took it as this business wants whoever's sitting there to feel this way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a psychological tactic.
Yeah, you want to feel uncomfortable. You're isolated. You're in the middle alone.
Yeah.
You got nothing around you.
Even the fact it's this really comfy chair where he sinks in. It's like, why is this in an office building?
Yeah.
When he has to get up to shake Colin's hand, he's kind of like fighting his way out of it. He's like, oh, I need to get up. I'm an old man. So Colin comes out, and because Colin's like, oh, someone's here asking about Homecoming, and he comes out almost immediately.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, is this him? And he starts talking to him. And Joe, it's funny because obviously we talked about Heidi and how I was convinced that she genuinely couldn't remember things. This is the opposite with him. He remembers every damn thing. He knows exactly how much he's lying.
He is being a smooth cover-up bastard.
Yeah, he's never heard of Homecoming. He's like, oh yeah, I think we had like a project called that.
It's like, yeah, I vaguely remember it. It's not active now though, so I don't really care.
Never heard of Heidi, and never heard of Walter. Never been to Tampa.
No, that's the one line I believe, where he says, "I've never been to Tampa." I think that going into
that's
the idea
true,
of he wants that deniability that he can go, no, I was never even there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, he probably wasn't there, but. He kind of fobs him off. He tries to like smooth him and just kind of talk to him and like, no, I mean I know like these dates match up, but it doesn't necessarily mean something happened, and we don't have any records of anything happening, so that's us. But of course Carrasco, obviously he's getting frustrated by the red tape, but he's very he's very formal, he's very civil. He just kind of said, well, I'll have to speak to some of the people involved directly then. And again,
he's just like, well, good luck finding them. We can't really get in touch with them.
It's like he keeps moving the goalposts. Like he keeps making it like as difficult as possible, just to make it sound like just give up. It's not worth it. Just give up. Without saying that. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I've already found one. I'm looking forward to speaking to him. But he doesn't say who it is. I really like that touch. It's like it's not necessarily so much that he's I don't know if Carrasco actually thinks that there's something so shady going on that something would happen to someone if he said the name, but he's smart enough to not actually say who it is and just leave. And he leaves Colin there sweating just a little bit because he turns around and just puts his hands in the banister. You can tell he's frustrated.
He does not look happy about this development.
He does not. And then meanwhile, we see Heidi come back from our quote unquote date with was it Arthur? Arthur, was it? I can't remember his name.
Definitely began with an A, and it didn't help that her mother said one, and
she said
wrong.
Andrew, and then she corrected him, but I can't remember what she corrected him with.
I think it was Anthony.
Anthony. Oh, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. I think it tells you how boring this guy is because it's been 4 episodes and I'm still struggling to remember his name.
I'm only remembering because of the joke of her
Yeah.
mother not getting.
Hey, that almost justifies me not remember it, is the fact that she can't remember it.
Yeah. You're not supposed to care.
But she goes looking for like old belongings in the closet, and she finds like hospital discharge papers and things like that, and she's like, "I was in the hospital. Why didn't you tell me?"
Why didn't you tell me? It's like, what do you mean? Why did I tell you? You were bloody there.
Yeah, I like that response. It was like, "What do you mean? Why didn't I tell you? Why would I tell you? You knew." You know, I'd be able to say to you, I'd be able to say to me, "Why didn't you tell me I'm ginger?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, exactly.
You want a mirror, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe you avoid it for obvious reasons. I don't know, but
I do avoid it where possible.
yes. But then she finds her old phone, and there's lots of missed calls from Colin. And I noted the dates as well. It was all leading up to the 15th. Like it was like the 12th onwards was all these missed calls.
The final date was the 15th.
Yeah. She scrolled down a bit though. I think it went down to the 12th, maybe the 11th. That push, but it was around there. And it was all these missed calls. So she stops taking his calls eventually, which is interesting. But she's like, I don't know who Colin is, and she takes her phone into her work, and she's talking to her colleague, and she's like, hey. You ever like not remember? And your colleague's like, oh yeah, sure, I forget things all the time, but it's not what she means. She's just very flippant, and she's like, oh yeah, there's this phone and this guy named Colin. I have no idea who it is. And she's like, call him. And I'm not gonna call him. It's not call him. Call him. Find out.
She's like, well, no signal on this phone. It's like, oh come on, you can get the number pretty easy.
Do you know what I think's funny about this is that I think the colleague's thinking, oh, this is some like oh, you had an affair with someone named Colin. She's looking for juicy gossip basically.
I love how the colleague's like, oh, you've blocked this out. She's like, whatever happened was interesting.
Yeah, but it is interesting, but it's a lot more different than it's a lot more intricate than what she's thinking. And she calls Colin. We don't see him here, and she says, "Oh hey, Colin, it's Heidi," and then he just hangs up, and she looks kind of confused, and we cut to him back at HQ, almost as if it took place right after that conversation with Carrasco. Like he's in roughly the same place. He's really just walking up the stairs again, kind of from there, and. That's where we end the episode. It's just him like standing there, just in like shock that she's called him. Almost like she shouldn't have the ability to do it. Like they missed the fact that she'd have a phone somewhere with his number on it. And
of all the days though for her to do this, it's like okay, things are lining up too much,
things
right?
Are closing in, you might say, like the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
They're closing in. And I like this touch. I like the touch though that we actually met him in the future before this phone call happened.
Yeah, I think either would have worked for me. This would have been a good introduction, but I think it has the added weight here of, okay, we know what day he's been having.
Yeah, I think for me it works because I think had we not met him previously in the episode, I wouldn't have wanted them to show me him at the end, I don't think.
Okay.
I feel like you'd let the mystery, sit that, why did it, he hung up immediately, you just leave it there. But I think because we already saw him, cutting back to him, and like seeing an evolution of the already frustration that we saw growing in him, is just I just but no, it works. It works really well. I think that we clearly establish where he is and who he is in the future, and nothing seems to have really changed for him. He's still working at Geist. He's
still being a slimy bugger.
Yeah, who knows what shady shit he's up to now? Maybe he's avoiding the shady shit because Homecoming went so badly. I don't know.
Yeah, nah, he'll have found someone else.
Yeah, probably, but. No, it's the investigation is closing in, and this one was definitely more future focused, certainly. And it
was, which I'm into. I think it's the more interesting stuff.
I
think the present day stuff in Homecoming has all the thematic elements. But I think in terms of the mystery and the plot, that stuff's all in the future stuff, and I think that's more interesting going forward. With the thematic elements just underlying it for me.
Maybe. I wouldn't outright say one's better than the other or more interesting than the other. I think this episode I'd say the future stuff was definitely more interesting, but I don't know if I'd outright say that throughout. Like last episode, I think the past stuff or the present day stuff, whatever you want to call it, was the more interesting.
That was solely down to direction, though. In terms of overall plot, I'm more interested in the future.
Sure. But they're both intricate. They're both essential parts of the show, though.
They are very different styles of direction as well. Obviously, we just mentioned how the last episode we talked a lot about the style of direction for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the future stuff it's all this classic thread. It's very Hitchcock or De Palma. All those the high camera shots looking down.
A lot of high camera shots looking down. I especially like when they walked to the elevator, it went into complete silhouette because the camera turned and it was facing the bright lights of the main the main foyer. Because the building has like a balcony style design where the open the middle's very open. I dug that. And I think it's there's not a lot of movement necessarily in the cameras too much.
No. If
someone's walking, there might be, but it tends to it likes these stark static shots where it'll cut to another stark static shot.
No, yeah, I agree. There's not a lot of camera movement in the scene. Let's say maybe if they're walking to follow them, but that's about it.
Yeah, which is a stylistic choice, and that's not a critique in any way. That's just the choice of what because I think one of the mistakes people can make is that if the less fancy it is, that means it's less thought out. But no, sometimes keeping it simple
can be more challenging because you've got to get everything right. I'd say it's a reliance on wide shots, but that feels like the wrong word to use given how tight that aspect ratio is.
Oh sure, yeah. It's a wide shot, but it's not really that wide. I think I actually appreciate when someone can do a whole scene in a wide shot because that's actually harder.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I remember one of the things was what we praised most about Quarry, which had impeccable direction, some of the finest I've seen on TV, and the ability to just sit your camera down and watch the scene unfold and not have to do anything else to keep it interesting. Everything's in the dialogue, the acting.
Yeah, I mean, keep it interesting, and even just the idea. And obviously, this is maybe a weird thing to bring up when you're talking about a professionally made thing, but mistakes happen. Parts of takes aren't maybe as up to the standard you hoped they would be. And one of the ways that you deal with that in filmmaking is you just cut to a different shot. You have multiple takes, you have multiple shots, different angles. You cut around partly to cover up the rough edges. You hide things.
I don't think that's not unprofessional. That's a standard practice. That it's expected that not every take's going to be perfect. That's fine.
Which is why doing a whole thing in a wide shot or one or two different shots means that you're going to have to do those takes a lot of times to get it perfect.
You've got to have a lot of confidence in your actors.
Confidence in your actors, you have to have, if there is camera movements, which there isn't in this case necessarily, but if you have camera movements, it becomes a rehearsal fest where you have to rehearse with the camera operators. They're part of the choreography of the movement, with the actors.
Yeah. Whereas being perfectly still is just as much chance. You've got to make sure your framing is absolutely perfect, that you can sit on this for 2-3 minutes and it'll be okay. No, that is perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of respect for
me too.
For when you can just stay on one shot for like 5 minutes. I have a lot of Hunger's best scene is a shot that lasts 16 minutes. It's just a static shot. It's a two-shot of two actors having a conversation, but it's the best scene in the movie, and it completely grabs your attention. It holds you, it pulls you in. When that can happen, it's great. So, but no, that's episode 4 of Homecoming. So we're almost halfway. We'll have the next episode up the day after tomorrow. Well, should do anyway, barring any delays. But I look forward to that. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us in the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and you can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?